It's always really worrisome when we come across the last episode of any season, any core, or anything when it comes to anime of how they're going to do it. How are they going to put a bow on it? How are they going to button it up? And are they going to leave us some kind of nougat or a nugget, for the next coming season? And I think, Mushoku Tensei has been in a masterclass of its own since like the very first episode kind of came across to us. I think like the moment that the anime actually started and then now to the moment that it ended now, I think like those two moments have really shown us that Mushoku Tensei is really like this masterpiece and it's in a class of its own when it comes to just world building, storytelling, character development, plot design, and just overall like conveyance of what they're trying to put across to you and to myself as the viewer. And I think episode 23 did it like just so perfectly, although I'm extremely sad for it to go. I think one of the things that episode 23 did is it gave us this insight and it gave us this snapshot of every single person, every single group of people that has been touched by Rudy and has been touched by Eris and has been touched by Rudyard. It's given us like this, like I said, like this insight into everybody that they've ever come across. And then the episode ended with showing us with giving us that little carrot, dangling that little carrot at the end to show like, hey, there's going to be more that comes here later on, and this is what we're going to come across next. And I just think that both of those scenarios that it handled so perfectly and it executed it so well during episode 23, I felt like were just really good. And although I'm extremely sad for this episode to go, I feel like really satisfied on where we ended off on. So the episode really has Rudy kind of like in full depression mode. He's completely depressed. He's completely heartbroken. In all of his 40 plus years now, his 34 in his past life and his, 12, 13 years, his 13 years now in his new life, he's never had to deal with heartbreak, right? He's never had to have that middle school heartbreak, that high school heartbreak. So right now, all of that is coming together. And because of Eris's lack of communicative skills that she has, the way that she left Rudy wasn't what she said and the reasons that she left. Like we found out during the episode that she left because she wasn't up to snuff, right? She felt like she had always been reliant on Rudy. She felt like she had always been safe because Rudy was there, right? She never felt like she was in danger because Rudy was there. And at the same time, she never thought that anything could happen to Rudy. And when the moment came with Orsted and she almost had to see Rudy die, she realized of her own inadequacy to not only not be able to save Rudy from death, but not be able to kind of do anything in that situation. So she felt extremely inadequate to Rudy. And then you top it off with what happened on the after fact that he continued training with magic. He continued trying to figure out ways to negate magic. He was talking about, well, if I ever come across him again, I need to make sure that we can get away. Like he had been planning for the next time. And Eris, on the opposite, had been wallowing on the fact that she couldn't do anything when it came to that, right? She didn't think of how can I get better till now. At that moment, she was just thinking of like how she failed. So it kind of, in a way, like it completely makes sense and it broke her. But the way that she communicated that to Rudy was saying like, at this time, we're not compatible. So he's thinking like, I just got dumped. I just got left. I just got abandoned by Eris. But really what she should have said was, I love you so much that in your moment of need, I wasn't up to be able to step up and take care of you. I need to go and find myself and find the person who can do that. I will be back to find you someday. And if she had just left him on a note of that nature, right? Or a message of that nature, the depressed Rudy that we have now would be completely different. But instead, that's not what happened. Her communication sucks, and, Rudy got his heart broken. So we spend the rest of the episode with Rudy wallowing and, with him being depressed. And I love the duality that they showed us of, as he's depressed and as he's there and as he's kind of like, fixated on everything that didn't go right, we're constantly seeing this version of him, which is the past Rudy, which is who he was before in his prior life, we got to see the events that took place in his high school. We got to see how he was bullied there, how he tried to step up, and do the right thing, and he got severely punished for it, and he got his mental self got completely destroyed. He got put front and center. He got all naked. You know what I mean? Like he got just demonstrably like just put out there for everybody just to see him. And it broke him completely, and he was never able to recover from that. So the episode keeps calling back to Fat Rudy, keeps calling back to Fat Rudy, keeps calling back as he's wallowing in himself. He's constantly being called back to who he was before, this worthless, fat, just nothing, who wasn't able to do anything for his family. We got to see the people who surrounded him before, who were all positive, trying to pull him out of this thing that he was going through, and he constantly kept rejecting and rejecting and rejecting and rejecting. He had a family, he had a parents, he had a mother and a father who really loved him and went to bat for him and who cared for him. And when they died, he wasn't even there for them, right? I'm sure he has like all this regret and all this self pity, you know what I mean? And he just wasn't there for them. And we got to see what kind of amazing people they were to hold him up for so long. And it's just kind of crazy to think that that's, again, his self-image is still very much that. But this episode, we got to see him take that first step. So after the butler, comes back in and, he's like, yo, Rudy, he basically said, in a very long story short, he said, you got to get up. You got to get up. You got to go. And, he just kind of laid it out flat to him. Like, you can't just stay like this. And, eventually we get a moment to where, Rudy is sitting there or he's laying there, right? And he's thinking about his past, right? And I feel like, there's a moment there where Zenith is remembering the times wherever she's at, right? She's in the Biggin continent, something like that. As she's trapped, and I'll talk about that in a second, how we know that, but she's trapped. Seems like in some kind of corridor or in some kind of cave or in some kind of like she's trapped somewhere, but it seems like she was dreaming about the times that she had and how much she loved Rudy and what Rudy was doing for her. And I feel like that kind of transcended wherever she's at, and that transcended, and that's what woke Rudy up, because she immediately thought of his mom. And she was like, I love you, Rudy. And he woke up and he was like, I got to go find Zenith. He's like, I have to go find my mom, and I was like, yo, that's so powerful. I teared up a little bit during our reaction of that. And I was just like, wow, you can't change who you were. You can't change what happened, in the past. You can't change the fact that you weren't there for your own parents in the past. What you did was what you did. But in this second life, that's not you anymore. And I love that. I think he woke up from that. And we got to see his fat self take the first steps out of the door. And we got to see Rudy take his first steps out of the tent to go and find Zenith. And I love how that's what we're going to continue on when we get back next season, or whenever the next season comes. I love how that we're going to get on from that there. And it was just super powerful. It was just super powerful. Now, the reason we know where Zenith was is during the episode, they showed us a snapshot of everybody, where everybody was. They showed us what Eris was doing. They showed us what Paul was doing with him reuniting with Lilia and him reuniting with Aisha, and Norn asking where Mom was. We saw the Beast Village. We saw Tona training with her dad. We saw the old adventurers. We saw Rudyard, spreading the name of Dead End, spreading the name of the Soup Herds. We saw everybody throughout everything. And we also saw Roxy, and we saw Roxy getting drunk and coming across Kirishika Kirisu, the Demon Lord. And she was able to use her demon eye as repayment to Roxy for paying for her drinks that she couldn't repay. She found out where all of Rudy's family was, and she let her know where Paul was, let her know where Aisha, Lilia was. And when she tried to look up Zenith, she couldn't see her. She was below like a cavern and below the sea, and in this benign continent, wherever it was. And that's scary. And she couldn't even see her clearly, so it's a little bit scary. So Roxy's going to go after her, and so will Rudy. I just wonder what Rudy's going to do information gathering. I'm almost at 10 minutes here, so I won't take up too much longer, guys, but this is the last episode of the season. It's the last time I get to spend with you guys. The end of the episode was finally us getting a snapshot at Sylphie. her explaining that there was a 5-year-old Saint class water mage out there that she learned from, and that she wants that person to join whatever she's doing, which seems to be like she's part of some kind of adventurers guild or some kind of adventurers party or something. So hopefully Rudy and her will clash and find each other, and then he can go find Zenith, or at least I hope he finds Zenith first. But it looks like Sylvie has grown up quite a bit, and it looks like she's also grown out of her green hair. I don't know if she did that intentionally or if she did that by accident. But regardless, her hair has changed, and she found some ridiculous-looking sunglasses. So that was interesting. So I can't wait to see whenever that comes. But hopefully we get a official season 2 announcement here very shortly. If we do, I'll be covering it here right on the channel. But I appreciate you guys. From me to you guys, I appreciate you guys being with me all season long. Appreciate you guys being here for each and every single review of Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. It's been a wild ride. It's been an emotional ride. And it's over. So I'll see you guys on the next anime reaction, anime review, or during the winter season of 2022. My friends, I'll see you guys on the next one.